I got an exclusive hands-on with Star Wars Outlaws, and you're here because you want to know a bit more about the game. So if you're new, hi, my name is Sophie, also known as Cadaea, and all my little gamer dreams came true as I spent the weekend in LA with Ubisoft for Ubisoft Forward, where I got to play Star Wars Outlaws early and see an exclusive extended sneak peek at Assassin's Creed Shadows. Ubisoft covered my travel expenses, but there was no ask or payment to make this video. Now, before we get started, here's a quick summary of the game just in case. Star Wars Outlaws is an upcoming open-world action-adventure game being developed by Massive Entertainment in collaboration with Lucasfilm Games. Massive Entertainment were also responsible for the development of Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, which truly surpassed my expectations, so I'm particularly excited for their next title. Back to Star Wars Outlaws, the game takes place in the Star Wars universe set between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. So, a turbulent time with the Empire seizing increasing control, criminal syndicates are amassing greater power, and the rebels are fading away, for now at least. Players take on the role of Kay Vess along with her adorable companion Nyx, navigating through a world filled with iconic landscapes, familiar faces, and the epic space battles that Star Wars is known for. And Star Wars Outlaws is due to release on the 30th of August this year. On to the gameplay. We were given the opportunity to play 3 different missions for about 20 minutes each, so 1 hour in total. And those missions were exploring an abandoned metal structure and using your platforming abilities, including use of your grappling hook and yellow ledges, please don't be upset, to power on a reactor and escape. A stealthy objective grab where you have to sneak into a thieves' den, and you can use Nyx to distract or attack the guards. And a TIE fighter dogfight before landing in a cool city where I gambled. I'm not sure what the mission actually was. I spent the rest of my time in a gambling hall, and we'll get to that in more detail as I split my thoughts into the good, the bad, the unexpected, and what I wish I saw more of. The good, starting with Nyx. Obviously, I love you, I would die for you. The graphics were sublime, the city, specifically the city that I ended up where I was gambling, it looked fantastic. The environments, the detail, they've really put that effort in, and everything was just so seamless. I was locked in to the point that the only thing that disrupted my gameplay was the timer that I didn't even notice until I got kicked out. I also really love how you have to locate and learn from those mentors. I love how they've done that, especially as I can't wait to feel how it is to play in more advanced K. I like that you have to unlock certain dialogue and clues to find them in the first place, figure out who they are and where they might be. And now, the bad. As the least stealthiest player in the world, even I could admit the stealth was odd. It felt like I could do anything and still not get seen, just send Nyx up to jump on them so I can run up and melee while everyone else in the room doesn't seem to notice. Saying that, I have no idea if I was on the extremely forgiving difficulty setting that we already know about, which would make sense given the limited time that we had to play the demo. Combat, on foot at least, wasn't very exciting. She had a simple blaster with 2 ammo types. I mean, it also felt incredibly frustrating for me because I can barely aim with a controller, and for some reason, a lot of gaming demos won't allow keyboard and mouse despite having a carer watching your every move. Please, let me play with a keyboard and mouse, so I might be a little bit biased on this one, and I'm more than happy to wait until I can play it on PC, so take this one with a pinch of salt. The platforming was very simple and easy to follow, not a huge thing for me personally, but maybe for others, it's not exactly what I'm playing this game for. The biggest negative for me was that I didn't feel like a criminal. Kay seems quite nice. I understand the premise, you know, she's just making ends meet and doing all these naughty activities on the side. I've just made that sound so much worse than it is. She definitely doesn't have that attitude and confidence that you see with, let's say, Borderlands characters, where there are no good characters. They're all thieves and criminals because they have to be to survive. She also can't swim, and I'm not judging anyone here, anyone listening that can't swim. I'm not trying to judge. It's just that the first thing that I did when I got onto the demo was jump to my death. Apparently they did actually want swimming in and it didn't make the final cut. Oh, and also one little point about Nyx, like the first time I had to use Nyx in a mission, I said that I just didn't want Nyx to get hurt. Like, that's understandable, right? Turns out Nyx is basically bulletproof with no health bar, which is great for me because I don't want to see Nyx in any pain, but not very challenging. The unexpected. Lockpicking or slicing is what I think they call it. That was particularly interesting. It's basically a rhythm game where you have to tap to the beat or to the yellow light on screen. The tutorial was a short paragraph, so that took some time for me to figure out. An embarrassingly long time, actually. I'm sure my supervisor was laughing at me, and I have no musical talent whatsoever. There was also a Wordle icon matching minigame, and I liked that one a lot more. It was fun. I have no complaints. I pretty much will get on with any minigame of this style so long as it doesn't take as long as the Bioshock ones. I'm sorry, I love Bioshock so much. The first time you do it, it's so much fun. And then it's just like, oh, it's such a ball ache. Okay, big unexpected but very positive point was the piloting and flight combat. I usually hate it, and I can't lie, it felt really satisfying. It was very intuitive, it was very pretty, like the rest of the game. I enjoyed that a lot, and even just navigating and landing on planets, it was all very well done. It was great, it was very enjoyable. I don't really have anything else I can add to that. And finally, gambling. Again, another thing that I usually hate. And I couldn't even tell you the name of the game that I was playing. You had to match cards and the closest to 0 wins, so I managed to match 2 3s from 2 different decks and won. And it felt, and I don't want to say it felt real, but it did feel like I was just playing blackjack in a casino, going around in turns, but it all just felt like the actual right speed, and it was nice to see the character movements and stuff like that. This is not me condoning gambling, by the way. It's a very risky activity that I don't often engage in. What I wish I saw more of in the demos. More weapons and their upgrades. I did very briefly open up the upgrade menu when I did see it. I didn't get to explore it very thoroughly because I knew I was on a timer and, you know, I don't know how far into the game we were at that point. I also wish that I'd seen more from Kay, and I'm not sure if I'm just dazzled by Nyx, but Nyx probably shouldn't have more personality out of the two. I'm excited to see her journey to become the better gunslinger, pilot, etc., and I hope that we get to see her confidence grow throughout. ND5, I think there was one brief interaction with them. Can't wait to meet them properly in the real game, when I get the full release, I mean. The reputation system, alright, after Starfield, and I like Starfield, but I'm happy about any rep system that affects your standing with a major faction in a meaningful way. I don't know how meaningful the standings are, other than that members of said factions might shoot at you if you enter their territory, or you might get charged differently by different vendors. So I'm excited to hear more about that, and I hope it is done well. And just for reference, I feel like a lot of the Fallout games, those are like the gold standard for rep systems, for me at least. And I wish I saw more about what you could do with loot, and I should mention, there wasn't copious amounts of loot everywhere, but I want to know what I can do with it other than upgrading my weapon. Okay, so, we live in a world where it pays to have a dramatic opinion, and I'm sorry, I just don't have one here. I've seen others who play the demo compare it to Uncharted, The Division, obviously one of their other games, and Tomb Raider. You can finish the game, whatever that means, probably the main story, in 30 hours, 50 to 60 for the completionist, which is alright for someone like me. I don't want a game that takes hundreds of hours to finish, but I do want a game that will make you want to play for that long. Every Ubisoft game gets criticised for following the Ubisoft formula. I'm not even sure what that means at this point. For me, the Ubi formula is Far Cry. Repeatedly climbing outposts to reveal areas of the map, having 3 major districts with 3 bosses that you have to defeat before you get to that ultimate big boss, skinning animals for loot, and so forth. Far Cry isn't true open world, there's a lot of linearity and hand-holding. People said the same thing about Avatar, which obviously was very different aside from the looting and upgrading maybe, but I just couldn't see the comparisons myself. After playing the demo, I have not played enough to say anything concrete here other than that 2 of the missions were very linear, so I presume that they're main story ones and that's how they will go, which is fairly understandable. The thing that seems to be missing from all the review articles I read online is just one simple question that should always be the main question for any game review. Is it fun? Yeah, I had fun. I desperately want to play more. But will it be Game of the Year? Like, dude, I played 60 minutes. I can say based on what I've seen, I'm more excited about Assassin's Creed Shadows this year. But that might be a personal taste thing. I don't think anyone can decide based on what we've seen and what we've played whether or not it's going to be game. Like, we got just a little sampler of the many things that we can do in that game, so I don't want to say anything definitive right now. What kind of game are you after? What do you want to play? Because I don't want to play like another Jedi Survivor. I just want a cool sci-fi game that happens to be in the Star Wars universe, and this certainly fits that so far. Star Wars Outlaws is accessible for most gamers, it's not brutally difficult, which I know can be a negative for some, but it can be played by the 45-year-old Star Wars superfan who wants to dive in for a couple hours after their 9 to 5, as well as the teenager who grew up with the films. Star Wars is for everyone, it's for anyone who is willing to consume the media they put out there, and that remains the same with this game. Star Wars Outlaws is for everyone. And that covers everything I want to say about the game, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.